Welcome to Instant Discussions of Reservoir Dogs.
Jeez. Okay, yeah, hi.
What?
I'm Tony. Steffan.
I'm Jean. Not a good start? You didn't like that one?
Jean Valjean.
No? They catch you off guard?
Very much so.
Alright.
It's like telling us you broke up with your girlfriend or something right before recording.
I'm not Steffan. I don't do that kind of thing.
Okay.
How's your dad doing?
But, you know, still kicking, but it's kind of a weird after-death twitch.
That's horrible. You're a terrible person to do that to him. Alright, this is the 1992 crime movie. Essentially, it's, you've got some criminals, and one of them might be a cop.
Yeah.
And, something, we meet up with these guys right after the crime, and something's gone horribly wrong, and they're trying to figure out what it is. How the heist went wrong. Now, they succeeded in their heist. They got the diamonds. Like,
well,
yeah.
we don't
They
had their hands on the diamonds.
Yeah, they got the diamonds.
Yeah. At one point, they got the diamonds. When we first meet up with them, we don't know where the diamonds are.
Yeah.
Pretty soon after, they've got the diamonds. They're a little while into it. But, we gotta figure out what's going on. This film, it's the first film from Quentin Tarantino. His 1992 debut. We'll get into more into how this came about to be a film and why it looks the way it does for a first-time director independent film.
Yeah. This was. You're not saying this is his first.
His first feature film.
This is before Four Rooms? Or after?
Yeah, this is before Four Rooms.
Okay.
But Four Rooms only works because you know who Quentin Tarantino is. That film doesn't happen without him being a known entity.
And I think this was his best performance.
I don't know. He's done a few.
Are you saying that simply because this is the least he's on screen?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's been on screen less in other films, and I think that he's done worse in less amounts of time, and he's also done better in more amounts of time. It just depends. You got to utilize him correctly. I think Tarantino's only in
like a Django?
one thing. A Django used poorly, yes. The one bad thing about that movie.
You could have gotten.
He could totally do an Australian accent.
Better.
He could have just not done an Australian accent, and that could have already saved it.
I don't know why. But that's a different story.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, well, we'll get into that in a different.
He's the Jar Jar Binks of that.
Sometime we'll talk about it.
And the director's in love with that character.
He's not Quentin Tarantino's feet.
Oh.
I guess that would be the only thing that he would like more than himself.
He didn't cast his own feet.
Feet. I don't know. All right, well, let's get back to Reservoir Dogs here. We're getting too off tangent on this. This movie.
I think I know all our favorite scenes.
It's about these criminals like taking these jewels, but that's kind of not really saying everything there.
There's a lot in this, and you've got
and it's simply because it's a Quentin Tarantino film.
Yeah,
because it's just got the Tarantino dialogue.
Yeah, crazy dialogue heavy in this. And like you normally when you're doing this kind of heist film, you expect you're gonna get more action and turn heist. This is more the aftermath, and a different look on it.
Yeah.
All right. So first impressions of this movie. I guess we'll start with that. This was Tony's. Yeah, that's right. Tony's pick.
Technically.
Yeah.
It was your guys' pick too.
Well,
what? No,
it was going to get picked.
I hadn't even seen this,
so he couldn't pick this one. This was his first time watching.
Fresh eyes.
First time watching it. So actually, that's what we should do.
Well, first impressions? You mean like as I'm watching, or what do you mean? What are you really asking here?
Well, don't we usually do the favorites and then least favorites and then?
Well, how you first came into this film, like what you thought as the film's beginning, like. How do you feel about the movie as it's first starting out? The movie starts out the diner.
Wow, I just went to Pulp Fiction.
Yep. Tarantino likes to start things in diners.
And it's the diner and it's Buscemi, right? No. Which scene is it? I can't remember.
They're talking about Like a Virgin. They're talking about Madonna and Steffan random talks about that.
Yeah, and they don't tip. And
he doesn't tip. And
that's right.
Believe in the tipping. So, like, what you know going into the film, based on it being a Tarantino film.
I was like, okay, this is just a Tarantino film. And I was just waiting for
something to happen.
I was like, yeah, I'm like, come on. come on, where's the story?
Where's that hook for? Because it's kind of like, if that had extended for the entire movie, it's Clerks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's
what I was watching. It was very similar.
Yeah, that opening is
I can go way on this, and I think I should wait for the extended.
Sure, we'll get an extended for that.
I think I should wait on the extended.
Okay. All right. Well, I can't remember the first time I watched this movie, but it was around the time when I was probably right when Netflix was starting, and I got that and got all the discs. I was getting into Tarantino's stuff, like especially after I'm sure I saw Pulp Fiction first. I don't even know now, but
yeah, I
probably did. And then got back into
Django
this.
First.
Django was the first Tarantino film you saw.
No, I was saying before this.
Oh, okay.
It's fine.
First with that. Favorite moments then, since this is your pick here.
Technically, mine was Pulp Fiction.
From when I watched it the first time, and then I just love when Mr. Blonde just goes crazy. And he takes off his hair and he starts to put
Stuck in the middle with you.
yeah. But the way he does it is just like you can just tell how twisted he is. I just love that.
Yeah. I really like the moment when he's doused him in the gasoline and he's about like because he's doing these horrible things and he's torturing him and they're like
for no reason because he puts his tape over his mouth. You know, he's just
like knowing what you know after that scene. Once you get the reveal of the cops, the cop knows who he knows that Tim Roth is the cop here. Like he reveals that after he's gone through this torture, he's had his ear cut off, he's been burned, he's not giving up.
And his name's Marvin too.
Yeah. They like killing Marvins.
Yeah.
Tarantino doesn't like Marvin for some reason.
And Marcellus's.
Yeah.
Uses a lot of the same names.
So they're suffering. Like he's, Tim Roth's suffering through the gunshot wound. You know he's gonna die. He's not giving himself up. Like they're holding on to their mission. They're really dedicated to this stuff. But that's the point where it goes too far. Like he cut him. He's torturing him. But once he lights him, he's about to light him on fire. That's when he steps into that scene.
Yeah.
And saves. And I love that moment that it stopped before then.
Yeah, I think it was just like he just didn't want him to die.
Yeah,
that was really what it was.
Yeah, and especially in such a terrible
and gambled that he could bluff harder than
and especially he's got the out too of Mr. Blonde's gone crazy. He's going to burn this guy alive. Like seriously, that's if he was just going to shoot him in the head. That's one thing. There's another brilliant moment that I love. Now, after we get the reveal of him being the cop, we flash back and we show when they're escaping. And it's with Harvey Keitel and Tim Roth. They're running away, and the cops come after them, and Harvey Keitel just shoots the cops dead. And the look on Tim Roth's face is like, because he's just witnessed other cops getting killed. But to continue this mission, he's got to remain undercover and be like, okay, just let that go so that he can continue on with this. And I love that horror look in his face on that. But I love the beauty of this film, especially in the simplicity of it, that you keep it. That's probably my favorite part, is how simple the film is, just with these few people, mostly in this one location, and told in a different way of a heist film, of the heist gone wrong and the aftermath of that. What was something that stood out to you?
My favorite moment?
Sure. Yeah.
Was when everyone died and then Steve Buscemi was just like, well,
yeah,
that's the diamond lost out. It's like, that is awesome, holy crap.
There's like a few endings on this film too, because you get...
I was just laughing, I was just like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Just, like, and his partner, like, the guy isn't necessarily just, like, dead. And he's like, he's been the one time, this one character, Mr. Pink's been the one character this whole time who's been like, we're professionals here. This is like,
well, he's true though.
Yeah, and also he at the very beginning he said, this heist has gone wrong. Something's horribly wrong here. Let's just take these diamonds and get out of here. I know, look, I'd love to follow the plan, but if we follow this plan, we're gonna get caught because someone's obviously a rat here. We need to go and get the diamonds.
Although, I wasn't sure how, I don't remember his name. How the heck did he die?
Nice guy Eddie?
Nice guy Eddie. Because,
I think it's actually, what's his
Was
name?
it Mr. Pink?
Yeah, I think
That's what I thought. I'm like,
Mr. Pink
I
shot
was just
him.
like, I thought like it. I'm like, what did he? It must have been Mr. Pink.
I was
What
trying to.
the
I
hell?
actually rewound that scene and was looking at the angles of the gunshots there, and you do see there's another shot coming out, and Tim Roth is too. He doesn't have. He doesn't pick up the gun after that, but Mr. Pink has the gun in his hand when he steps
That's why I
up.
was just like,
So
I was thinking that too, but then I went and looked it up online,
Mhm.
and they show in slow mo that scene, and Harvey Keitel does get 2 shots off of his pistol.
So you're saying Harvey Keitel shot both of them?
That's what a lot of people are
All
seeing online. If you look at the
wow.
YouTube clip and it's slow mo,
Let's look at the summary here. Let's see. All right, Joe about to shoot Mr. Orange is stopped when Mr. White points his gun at him, and Eddie in turn takes aim at Mr. White. Joe eventually shoots Mr. Orange, wounding him again. Mr. White shoots and kills Joe in response. Eddie shoots Mr. White, wounding him, and Mr. White shoots and kills Eddie.
he's just that badass. It's like he's his character from Pulp Fiction.
Because he's... Then I got Joe.
So yeah, I guess
Orange.
it wasn't. I thought it was Mr. Pink when I watched it for that.
that's
first
what I was
time.
thinking of.
Like it's really misleading for him to have the gun in his. I guess
Maybe he was prepared to do it, but he's, didn't have to at that point.
it might have been just one of those things where it's like he had it, he was ready to draw, and then when the gunfire went off, he just drew it reflexively. But still, like as a director, I don't know if I would have put that gun in his hand afterwards. I don't know.
Well, he's gonna have. He's a professional. He's gonna have it.
That's
You know what? I kept on thinking.
So that's why.
But he wasn't under any threat. Like he wasn't involved in the situation at all, and either side would have been friends with him. Like afterward.
just to be safe.
So it's just weird.
Possibly.
I don't know, but I kept on thinking about Monsters Inc. when I was with what's his name, Steve Buscemi.
Steve Buscemi.
Oh,
Because he's like kind of sleazy in this, and he's like sleazy in Monsters Inc.
Yeah,
he's
a
just
slime ball guy.
He's the sleazy
He's
guy.
good at doing that.
Yeah.
So in that final scene there, just to finish this thought rather than going on the extended and coming back to it. So all right, we've got. Let's just plan this out like this: Eddie, Joe, and Orange, and you both got the guns on me, but or no, you don't have the gun on me.
Joe's pointing it at the cop.
Joy's pointing at Tim Roth. Yeah. So that's why the first shot that we see is Joe shooting Tim Roth. In response to that, Mr. White shoots Joe, then is wounded, and then shoots back. So because he gets up at the end too, we see he's only wounded, so he's able to get off that other shot. Yeah, if Mr. Orange had gotten shot first, then it wouldn't have worked. But because it's pointing at those different ways, then it does work.
That's really bad. Eddie's got really bad timing then. Like, he's got really bad reflexes to only be able to get a single shot off.
Eddie,
in the time that...
I think if Eddie had better reflexes, he would
bang, bang.
He seems like he's not as professional of a
I guess
as
so.
the rest of the guys are. He
true.
seems kind of sloppy.
He's
so
just the son.
He's a spoiled
Yeah,
son.
I think it fits completely within his character.
It's true.
And Joe's just trying to get done what he needs to get done, which is kill the snitch.
Yeah.
And then that turn you get to with Mr. White at the end. So once Tim Roth tells him, says, "I was a cop," it's like, oh damn it! I just killed longtime friends.
I don't know why the fuck he said it. I mean, I guess he just needed some redemption, but I don't know. We should probably move on to the
Yeah,
bad
we'll
stuff.
talk about that.
Yeah.
I have a theory on that part.
All right, we'll get into that. So the bad stuff, the stuff you didn't like. How about you?
The only thing I didn't like was there's certain parts where the acting turned kind of like corny-ish to me.
Mhm.
That was the only thing. Like there was some really good acting, then it was like this is kind of corny.
I kind of forgive a little bit on this acting part, but the part that had stood out to me as bad acting was when Tim Roth is reviewing his story. Like,
Oh my
rehearsing
god!
that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, he's rehearsing it in like very stereotypical actor reciting monologue thing.
Uh-huh.
I've seen it so many times with actors rehearsing monologues for the first time,
Uh-huh.
and it does look like that. And the kind of way he's overacting with it and overselling that. So he definitely seems like he's acting in that moment. So that's actually a good thing.
But later on in the story, when he's telling the story,
Yeah.
like, it was still
It still seems staged because it
unbelievable.
was very rehearsed.
yeah.
So I think the fact that it was unbelievable kind of was good in that, because that's how it would be. He wasn't perfectly natural in that. Where in other moments,
But for me, if I was the crime boss or whatever, that would have turned me off right away. It's just shitty acting.
possibly that's like Joe wasn't 100% on him, but he's still trying it out.
So that was mine, though.
Yeah, so I agree with that that moment, but I actually kind of forgive it the more I think about it.
Yeah,
for it being there. Yeah, how about you?
My least favorite. I don't know if I'd call it a moment. It was more of. It was more of just how, like, what the story was actually about, and then it was really just the directing. It was more of just what the story was about, and then how it was executed. Because I felt like to make this a really good movie, what you needed to focus on was who was the cop.
Yeah.
And the suspense of who was the cop in this bunch. But then, and at the beginning, you know, it was after the tip scene. After that, you know, and after we started getting into that, I was like going, oh shit, you know, oh shit, this is cool. And then, but then like later, then a little bit down the way that some things that the characters were saying, they were being so like wishy-washy about what they knew about what happened, and everything, that I was just like, wait, maybe all these characters are just on drugs and don't know what the fuck they're talking about and don't remember anything anyway, and that maybe there's no cop at all and they're just all being paranoid little pieces of shit, you know? And then so I was like, oh, well, maybe there isn't a cop. Which I guess was fine as well.
I think there was a lot of confusion after what had gone on, so they were still trying to piece together everything.
But I guess, I mean, to make it shorter is basically like, I wish that, I don't know, I felt like that could have been
You wish that more of the movie was about
advantage of that a lot more, and
yeah. Do you think they revealed it too early?
I don't know if timing was the issue. I don't know. I didn't feel the big, oh my god.
Yeah, there
wasn't that satisfaction of like, it was him.
I think the satisfaction for me came from him saving the cop who was being tortured. That's the satisfaction in that moment for the reveal, because that reveals it, but it's not like a huge thing. But also that you get to know that so early on, because it looks like it's going to be one of those movies where you're going to be guessing the whole time who the cop is and find out at the end. And
yeah, I was okay with
he kind of turns it around by showing you this is who the cop is. And now you get invested in what's going to happen to everyone else in the story, because he's...
And what he's going to do as he's bleeding out there and this guy's torturing his cop.
The movie now is not only about that mystery. The movie's now about something more than that. And you get to then experience what it was like for him to go undercover. You now get to hear that whole story. You wouldn't get to see that if you had focused more of the movie on that. And then you get to also see him, knowing that he is a cop, and seeing Mr. White but that goes so heavy in like defending this guy, and we know that he's the cop. And
see, but for me, that kind of enjoyment, I like getting that enjoyment from a second watch.
Yeah, but he doesn't get to like make a second movie.
No, but I mean from watching the movie a second time.
Yeah,
that's what I like. Is I like going, oh my god, what did that mean for that character? And then I watch it again and go, holy shit, that was what he was going through like that whole time.
That is true. I do like seeing that, but it's this is a way of getting it in one viewing, so that you don't require your audience to watch it 2 times to get that. So you get to watch this for a bit, and then you get to see other parts. So you could go back and watch those first scenes again, like the diner scene, and seeing how he acts in those moments, and
I think I still would have preferred it. I think it would have been better film for it if it was the other way.
Well then. I disagree, but I understand what you're saying there, because it's more typical.
I think it was more, and then also it wasn't as timeless as I thought it. Well,
no, the Madonna talk wasn't as timeless. No, the Super Sounds of the '70s. Super Sounds of the '70s was so out of time that you then get more timeless with it. But yeah, all right. So let's go to ratings, and then we'll get.
Did you ever bathroom?
Huh? No. Yeah, I agree with the one moment, but that's kind of a good for it. So
got it.
I don't know. Overall, not really. Bad things with it. I think it's not as perfect of a film as he's able to do now, so it's definitely a raw one, but for what it is, I really like it. So,
got it.
Ratings.
When I first saw it was a 5, but now when I watch it again, I'd say 4. I think if this wasn't his first film, if he had done this a few films down, it would have been a 5.
Oh, it would have been spectacular if he had done this.
And the budget, I mean, 1.5 million.
Yeah, which is still really high for a independent film.
Yeah.
if you compare that to the budget of Clerks or another independent movie, it's a really high budget, and you got a lot of great actors in it too.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, so the first time I watched this, I gave it a 5, and now looking back on it, I give it a 5. Because it was his first film with us, if Tarantino came out today and made this exact film, exactly this, I'd say, first of all, you just re-released Reservoir Dogs, that's fairly stupid. But secondly, compared to the quality and mastery that he's put into films like Django, to see this one, it's like, that's kind of sloppy and just not as tight of a film as it could have been.
Mm-hmm. I'm surprised you're still giving it the 5.
Yeah, I'm still giving it a 5. Because
admitting that, I guess I'll say.
Yeah, no, it's not a perfect film, but
so you give movies. So I guess that's just saying. But I'm saying, you give movies based on the year they were made.
No, not necessarily. Like partially, yes, partially based on the year that they were made. But
okay,
I think more so is this film still.
It's just a coveted 5-star.
I know, but as a concept for this film, you'd be interested to see how many 5 stars Tarantino gets from me. He gets quite a few. Not all of his films are 5 stars for me, but he gets quite a few. And this is one of them. I think it was very brilliant in the way it was done, and it's kind of in the idea, kind of like Primer. You get those extra stars for its inventiveness of how it's taken this genre. And I'll get in extended about like how he goes into all of that. But just this type of film has then become this standard in that same way that you look at something like Airplane for comedies. We're looking at this, but this is like a new standard of how to do these crime movies and break away from the typical movies of that genre. I just really like it, and my enjoyment out of this film is still gives it a 5.
Okay.
It forgives the mistakes. Like if I were going into my crazy scale, where I gave Django a 4.99. When I was rating on that scale, yes, this would get 4.78 or something, because it does lose some marks for its pacing and all of that. That 0.01 in Django is Tarantino's performance that it loses. But anyway,
got it.
So you hadn't seen this movie before. You didn't get to see this movie.
Saw it today.
Way back when we saw it. Yeah, you watched this movie
literally today.
I saw this movie in my more formative years, and
so.
Now, you've seen all this other stuff, and now you see this one, and what do you think of it?
If I were able to go into deeper ratings, like you're saying, right, I'd probably give it somewhere around a 3.4. So that would leave me at a 3. I liked it.
Yeah, I can understand that because you're not... You've seen all this other stuff what he's capable of.
Yeah, and that might be part of it.
Even though
but I think
that's kind of crazy. 3?
Is that crazy? Is that crazy?
I thought you were gonna say 4 personally.
It's a little odd. But
because it is. It still is original, like the way he, the story and the way he.
No, I agree. And it is really original, and a lot of things.
But see,
you
right away you didn't like the first scene, and I still enjoyed the first scene. Them going
it's not that I really didn't enjoy it. I just I don't know. Like the first scene of Pulp Fiction, right? He does the same thing, but the story's still there. Mm-hmm. It's involved in the story.
It ties in so much later on when you get that. Whereas
this is just, it could have been in any film, period. Just change the characters.
It could have, but I think
that's my problem with it. That scene.
It's showing how they're interacting as a group. And,
that's what I was thinking.
Because they're a group that's been pulled together, and some people know each other better, so some people are able to go up and stand up against each other, and showing when one person stands up against someone and taking the book from him, and the other guy not tipping, but based on their relationships, how they're able to give and take with that, and they're kind of just having fun, and everything's all good, and then you do your nice intro music, and then, oh my god, someone's been shot, and everything's gone wrong. Everything was so nice and happy in that first scene, what happened? And we get to see the before and after of that. So, but yeah. So, I guess we'll get on to next week, talk about next week, and then we'll go on to our extended and deep into this movie.
What's next week?
Next week, I guess it's my pick, I believe.
It is.
And there's so many great films out on Netflix, and as much as like the last couple films that you guys have been picking have been ones that I wanted to pick, but there's still hundreds of films out there that I want to pick. Hundreds. There's one that I really want to do, but it's kind of best to save that for June. Just to put it up with.
Who wants to pick
holidays. I'm not going to pick your nose. Anyway, just because we just watched this film, I want to kind of go into another one in this same genre, kind of like when we did our lines of comedies.
Django.
Yeah, I'd really like to pick. I'd love to pick Django, but not this time. Almost like Frozen. This one is called. It's one that most people probably haven't seen. It's a really underground film. It's called The Usual Suspects. And
you know what's funny? I've never seen this movie.
You've never seen it?
And everybody's like, "You need to watch this." I just never had a chance. I didn't even know it was on Netflix.
We will say nothing more about it. Yeah. It's called The Usual Suspects.
I just know from the box.
Don't look at the
different heights. And I was like, "There's a big difference in heights." That's the one where they're standing.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're in a lineup. Just
all I know about the movie.
Just type in The Usual Suspects and hit play. That's it. I'll discuss what happened the first time I watched this next week. But we'll talk about that next week. And stay tuned in the podcast, or click on links for the extended footage of this to hear us really go into all of this stuff, even though we've already been going in pretty deep on this already. But we're going to go more into Reservoir Dogs. Go deeper into Reservoir. Sweet. The Reservoir Dogs.
I thought you were doing the red dot thing again.
No, this is a random hand is coming down and touching me.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.